We've got the most amazing world, and yet for so many years we've been trashing it. And you know, sometimes karma means that what you do comes back to you, and that's exactly what's happening with the planet now. We are having to live with the consequences of our own pollution. So climate change is something that we have to take on. We have to just amend our ways, and that means changing the way in which we use all the externalities. What do I mean by that? I mean that we use the oceans as a dumping ground for our plastic. We use the atmosphere as a dumping ground for our emissions. And we can't go on doing that. We can't go on destroying the very environment that is the thing that sustains all life. So climate change is simply about managing the assets that we have, because they're the most important thing that we have. Without them, there's nothing. This is not just an incidental thing for the OECS member states. This is existential. You've seen the rawness of the changing climate in a way that we in Britain have not. You've seen the change in the weather patterns. You've seen the force with which nature comes and the increasing frequency which those storms come. You've had to live with that. And you know only too well what it means for the way in which it can wreck people's lives. So it's really important that we work together on this, that we tackle the issue of climate change, not just the mitigation, not just to make sure it doesn't get any worse, but actually work together on adaptation so that your communities are going to be protected in the way that they need. Your voice in the OECS is so important. You have stood up and stood out. You have called out the global north and said how much it has failed, how much it's failed on finance, how much it's failed on adaptation, how much it's failed on loss and damage. And that's why it's so important that we take notice of your voice. You're at the sharp end of this, and what we've got to do is work together. And you know, groups like the ICCF are the ways in which we can do that. We can work together in the International Conservation Caucus Foundation. We can make sure that together we are combating dangerous climate change. And that means making sure that the funding flows are going to come through. It makes sure that at places like this here in Glasgow at COP26, your voice is heard and it spurs everyone else to action.